Hey guys, this is Mrs. Farpoint Farms here, Jen. Today's recipe is going to be how you can make ribs that are going to be just as good, if not better, than what you can get from a steakhouse. And it's super easy. You don't need any special spices, any special tools. If you follow the instructions, you're going to be amazed at how good of a cook you can become. Alright, for this part, like I said, the way that I'm going to prepare them today is going to be in our smoker. If you don't have a smoker, you don't need to worry about that one, because I'll also give you the recipe on how you can cook it in the oven. Again, it's going to be pretty much the same temperature. You're going to change up the spices just a little bit if you're going to use the oven versus the smoker. So what I've got here, I've got a beautiful rack of baby back ribs. The local grocery store had these on sale, so I figured I'd go ahead and make a treat. And what I'm going to do is, I've already taken it out of the container. On the back side of this, sometimes they will have like this skin type material, or this one, and what that skin does is just kind of tough when you finally do eat it. So I'm going to work on trying to peel that off. Sometimes they come off really easy. Other times you fight with it and it's just not worth the aggravation. So a lot of times I'll just kind of put a little slit. And as you can see me wrestling with it a little bit, you can just kind of pull that skin off. This is an optional step, but I've just found out that the spices seem to work a little bit deeper into the meat if I do take this off. And it's just a little bit better flavor with the final product. Again, it's just a little bit of skin over here. Again, a couple just little cuts just to kind of get up underneath it. If you can't get it all off, it's not really the end of the world. Not that big of a deal. But I just happen to like it better without the skin on. And sometimes they come off really good, sometimes not so much. So this battle might end up going to the pork loin this go around. Alright, so I've got that skin removed, or as best I could. Generally what I'm going to do now is I will usually cut this in half just because my smoker is not that big. And I apologize for the noise in the background as my cat decided to go crazy in a paper bag. So let me go ahead and remove her. Or at least hope that she gets quiet. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half. What some people can do, if you're serving this for like a family affair, you can even cut this in quarters or in thirds, depending on how you want to go ahead and do your meal. That way when it's fully cooked, you don't have to worry about trying to handle it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and remove this cat before she becomes part of the meal. And adds any special flavoring to it. Bear with me, guys. Alright, she is gone, and I promise you no cats were harmed in the filming of this video. Alright, so the next part is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my spices. Depending on the mood I'm in, what I have on hand, depends on how my rib flavor is going to come out. Sometimes I'll use this pre-mixed rib seasoning. This one's nice because it is sugar-free. It's chipotle, so it does have a little bit of a kick to it, which I like. That works for me. This one, my sister was kind enough to send me her own dad's mixture of the spice mix. I'm gonna go ahead and try this time, just to kind of see how the spiciness is. A lot of times you can go online, you can find your own rib spice you can put on there. You can buy them pre-made. If you want to just add your own salt, pepper, garlic, onion, a little paprika, all that stuff will be good. Throw in a little bit of brown sugar, that will also add a nice little flavor to it. Another thing, tip and trick for this one, let your pork ribs get up a little bit to room temperature, not warm or anything, but they seem to adhere better with the flavor if you let them be a little bit more towards room temperature versus ice cold when you put them in the smoker. I've kind of learned that trial and error. Don't leave them sitting out too long because you don't want to worry about food poisoning, because that will kind of ruin the whole meal. So I'm going to go ahead and be pretty liberal with these spices that I'm going to go ahead and put on there. Some of these spices will fall off in the smoker. Some of them will also get cooked off in the end when I go ahead and throw them on the grill. So again, for this time, more is good because you want to make sure that everything is nicely covered. Even on the back part of it where that skin was, go ahead and sprinkle some on there as well. Because you want to make sure that all this nice spices hit everything that you're going to be munching on today. If you have time, go ahead and let these sit in the fridge overnight if you have time. That will just let the spices get mixed in there a little bit better. If you don't have time, it really is not that big of a deal. There's really no right or wrong to this recipe. Alright, so if you're going to go ahead and do this in the oven because you don't have a smoker, I will generally add a little bit of smoked paprika, so you're still going to get that nice smoker flavor to it. Or you can also add a little bit of liquid smoke to it as well. If you're doing it in the oven, you're going to put these into your rack or this little baking dish. Add maybe enough water to be about an inch or so up the pan, right about there. Couple drops of the liquid smoke, and then you're going to tightly close that in aluminum foil. And then you're going to put that in the oven 250 degrees for about 3 hours, give or take. And then when you pull them off out of the oven, let them cool, and they literally are going to be fall off the bone good. That was how they cooked them in the steakhouse that I worked at. And then we would finish them on the grill, so you go ahead and get that nice charred grill flavor. What we're going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and bring these out to the smoker. I still might add just a little bit of smoked paprika on there because everything is better with smoked paprika. Alright, so I've got that smoked paprika on there, and for the full rack of ribs, the whole portion of the meat, I use maybe 1/4 teaspoon. I don't want to overpower it, I just want to add just a little bit of a smoky flavor to it. As you guys use these recipes, you can kind of make it your own. Sometimes people will add a lot more black pepper to it if you like it spicy. Sometimes they'll add a little bit more brown sugar if they want it a little bit sweeter. The brown sugar, when you cook it in the smoker, will kind of caramelize, so you're going to get that nice little crust on there. It really depends on what your flavoring is. I prefer mine to be more on like just your regular spices, a little bit of black pepper, your onions, your garlic flavor, all that good stuff. I'm not really big on the sweetness, but it is nice to have just a little bit of that touch. I'm getting ready to bring these outside. The smoker is already preheating. I've got it set to about 250 degrees. I've already put my wood chips in there. And again, like I said, and you'll see the next clip about me preheating it, I'd like to have it preheated so I know that it's going to be the correct temperature going in there. I don't have to go back and forth making sure I'm getting it set just right. And I can also make sure that I have the smoke level where I want it to be. The smoker that I have, I love the smoker. I've had it forever. The only downfall is if I need to add more smoker chips, I have to open it up. That lets a lot of the temperature out, and it just takes a while for it to get loaded up. So this way I've learned if I get it ready to go, it's less time for me to have to play with it. Alright, let's go outside. Here are the chips in the smoker box. One of the most important things when you're adding this is not to add too much. I've learned that if you add too many smoker chips, it really kind of prohibits the amount of smoke that comes in here. So sometimes less is more. And right now I've got a mixture of hickory and some oak smoked chips that are going to be in there for this recipe today. I've got the water pan filled with just a little bit of water. If you're doing a longer smoke time, you generally want to have that water in there. That kind of adds a little bit of moisture to the air. You know, keep your meat from drying out. Now I've got the smoker turned on. What I like to do is I generally try to let it preheat for maybe 15-20 minutes or so. One of the reasons is I want to make sure that it gets up to temperature. This time we're going to be using about 250 degrees. And I also want to make sure that I'm getting the right amount of smoke in there, so when I put the meat in there I don't have to kind of play with it after the fact. So I'm going to let this go ahead and preheat. I'm going to come out here with the ribs here, like I said, probably 15-20 minutes. We're going to go ahead and put it in there. This recipe is they're going to smoke for about 3.5 hours, or till kind of when they look ready. And then we're going to finish them on the grill. Now, I don't know if you can pick it up on camera, but you can see a little bit of smoke coming out from the door. That is a really good sign. That means when I open up, it's going to be super duper smoky. What I have learned is when you open it up, you do not want to stand directly in front of it because all that smoke will come in your face. It'll kind of make your eyes sting. Next thing you know, you'll be smelling like a gigantic smoker. So I'm going to open up this, and you can see the amount of smoke that's going to come out of it. And that is what you want to see. So you see I've got the ribs in there. I'm going to go ahead and get this closed up and ready to go. And then I'm going to check it in about 15 minutes or so just to make sure it is the temperature that I want it to be. And then I'll check it again after about an hour and a half, add a few more smoked chips, and then I'll take them out after about 3 hours. Alright, here are the flavor that I'm using today. I've got Weber's Hickory, and I've got these Jack Daniel Oak Chips. I only use just a little bit, and it seems to add a really nice smoky flavor in there. You can use applewood if you want. You can use pecan. You can also use cherry wood. If you use cherry as your smoker chips, just use a little bit, because I've learned that if you use too much cherry in your smoker, sometimes the meat will kind of have like a bitter aftertaste to it. But the cherry wood, when you do your smoker, is what's going to give you that nice red ring. They call it a smoke ring in there. Just be a little sparingly, but use whatever flavor combination. If you guys smoke, let me know what your favorite combinations are for chicken or pork. I'm always up to new ideas. Alright guys, it has been 3 hours. I'm getting ready to pull these ribs out of the smoker. It smells delicious in here. So I can't wait to see how they come out. Once I pull them out, I'm going to let them cool down for just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and fire up the grill, and I'm going to go ahead and finish them on the grill. What I do is I take them and I slather them with a whole bunch of barbecue sauce, and then I put them on the grill to kind of heat them back through. I also caramelize that barbecue sauce just a little bit. Here is the final product. Boy, does that look pretty good. It smells delicious in here. Alright, so here they are on the grill. I've got barbecue sauce on the top part and I've got nothing on the bottom. I'm going to leave this sit here for probably about 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and close up the cover to kind of keep that heat in, and then I'm going to flip them. Alright, they've been on the grill for about 5 minutes. Go ahead and just flip them over. Probably about another 5 minutes, give or take. Just let that barbecue sauce kind of caramelize on the bottom. And that's all there's to it. This is pretty much the recipe that I learned from when I worked at the steakhouse. That if you cook them low and slow, they're going to be tender, fall off the bones, and just delicious. If you happen to see what you like over here, please feel free to like and subscribe. And if you have any other kind of videos you would like to see, maybe I can review this nice Weber grill, just let me know.